To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler to the mind to suffer the strings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, to die, to sleep. Yeah, if you guys are wondering why I recited, a part of that infamous "to be or not to be" quote, well, I'll just say it's in the movie. Hey guys, this is Frozen Wish Stews here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today, I'm going to be doing a review on Megalopolis. So, Megalopolis is the latest film from renowned director Francis Ford Coppola, which, if you guys don't know who he is, like, where have you been? Have you been under a rock? And yeah, it's directed by him, and it came out just this year. And it stars Adam Driver, Nathalie Emmanuel, Giancarlo Esposito, Aubrey Plaza, Shia LaBeouf, John Voight, Jason Schwartzman, Talia Shire, Grace Vanderwall, Lawrence Fishburne, Catherine Hunter, Dustin Hoffman, etc. And so it tells a story taking place like many years into the future in a fictional world called New Rome, which is basically New York City and Rome combined into one. Yeah, and it's about genius artist Caesar Catalina, who seeks to leap the city of New Rome into a utopian, idealistic future. His own world called Megalopolis, which is the title, while his opposition, Mayor Franklin Cicero, remains committed to a regressive status quo, perpetuating greed, special interest, and partisan warfare. Torn between them is Julia Cierzo, the mayor's daughter, whose love for Caesar has divided her loyalties, forcing her to discover what she truly believes humanity deserves. So yeah, now Megalopolis is one of the most interesting and fascinating films of the year. Now, I am not giving my opinion yet. I'm actually saying this on a more objective standpoint, a more factual standpoint. Because yeah, I mean, if you guys know how my reviews goes, I still need to build out some of my reviews by talking about the film's background. And this film has a whole background. In fact, so much so that it pretty much could have a biopic of its own about the making of Megalopolis, about how Francis Ford Coppola made this. So basically, I'm sure every single cinephiles and major film buffs know about this film's history and trouble productions, because out of all the movies to come out this year, this one had the most troubled production, up to the point where it's pretty much been in development since God knows how long. I think the 80s, 90s, something like that. When it comes to Francis Ford Coppola's movies, let's be real here. We have not gotten a proper Francis Ford Coppola film since Bram Stoker's Dracula. Okay, well, maybe The Rainmaker to an extent, but The Rainmaker is not one of his best films. And also, I'm not sure if The Rainmaker is one of those improper Francis Ford Coppola films where he just made it just for the studio. I'm not sure about that, but the movie's pretty good, I will say. Just not one of his best films. But what do I mean by we haven't gotten a proper Francis Ford Coppola film since Bram Stoker's Dracula? Well, following the footsteps of that film, Francis Ford Coppola was supposed to make Megalopolis, which he considers his passion project. But however, no studio wanted to fund this movie for some reason. So apparently, Francis Ford Coppola funded this movie himself. Yep, $120 million out of his pockets to self-fund this film. And he created a wine business just for this film alone. That goes to show how passionate Francis Ford Coppola was in this film and this story. Okay, where was I? yeah, the wine business. Yeah, this film is apparently seen as unmarketable. No studio wanted to distribute this film. Yeah, because like they didn't agree with this guy. But Francis Ford Coppola did not hold back from it. Now, what I mean by imp- improper Francis Ford Coppola films is that his previous films, he only made them for the studio, but they were not his own films. He just was a he just became a director for hire, like directing films for the studio. But actually, yeah, and these are films that absolutely no one likes. And so people had a sense that Francis Ford Coppola wasn't himself anymore. But I know for a fact that it wasn't because of him. It's because it's because he was just forced to. Well, since he had like no other movies to like fund besides this one. The previous film that Francis Ford Coppola directed was called Twixt. Yeah, a film that I have not seen. In fact, guys, I actually have not seen any of Francis Ford Coppola's studio-made films where like he just where they weren't auteur films. Auteur, like I don't know how you pronounce it, but yeah. Twixt is a film that the only thing I know about Twixt is that it's a horror film starring Elle Fanning. That's all I know, but I didn't see it. I didn't bother. I couldn't care less about it. I mean, did anyone even watch the movie anyways? But at long last, we got Megalopolis. Yep, the long-awaited Francis Ford Coppola's auteur film that he's been in the works. Now, another fun fact about Megalopolis is that this film was actually supposed to be made in the 2000s with a completely different cast. I forgot who's going to star in this, but I believe that he was going to take actors from his previous works. Now this was supposed to be made in like the early 2000s, but however, what held this film back from resuming production is the 9/11 terror attack. And yes, guys, the 9/11 terror attack actually made an impact out of this film because it was what resulted in production to be stopped, to be halted. But now, Francis Ford Coppola decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm A5, I'm going to release this thing no matter what. But studios still did not want to distribute this film because they were not impressed. Even at the Cannes Film Festival, which, yeah, this film got polarizing reviews. It's literally neck to neck with Joker Folie à Deux as the most polarizing movie of this entire year. Because based on reactions from Cannes, there are people who love this film, but there are those who literally say that this film is a crime against humanity. Yeah, and say it's one, and would even go as far as calling this one of the absolute worst movies of the year. Now, as for me personally, if you have seen my top 10 most anticipated movies of fall 2024, yeah, Megalopolis was on there, and you know that. And so yes, I was very excited for this film. I could not wait to see like the new work from director of The Godfather, which The Godfather is one of my favorite movies of all time. I am not going to hold back. And I know it sounded crazy because people told me I was crazy putting The Godfather as among my favorite movies of all time, despite being the same guy who put Frozen 2 and Wish as two of my favorite movies ever, and The Godfather would just be like alongside it. And Return of the King 2. But I mean, I have questionable taste in movies, but ultimately I am a cinephile no matter what. I just have unique taste in film. I ignored the bad reviews, and I was hoping that this was going to be a masterpiece. And after seeing Megalopolis for myself yesterday, I gotta say, I dug the hell out of this film. I dug the hell, yeah. I really dug it. Now I will admit that this movie was not the masterpiece that I wanted it to be, and it has flaws that cannot be ignored. But there is no denying that this movie was an experience. It was actually an experience unlike any other. What makes Megalopolis so fascinating is that it does not feel like your typical modern movie. It's unlike any other movies that I've seen, let alone in theaters. It felt like a classic movie that's been shelved for a long time and only got released today. You can clearly see the dedication Francis Ford Coppola had making this, and like what I said, this is his passion project. Yes, it is absolutely ambitious, bold, wild, crazy, bonkers, and yeah, it felt like a fever dream. Yeah, watching this movie felt like I was dreaming. It felt like something that I would dream about. And it is not at all what I expected. Okay, well, don't get me wrong. I will say this: going in, I knew that it was going to be wild, bonkers, crazy, all the stuff like pretty much similar to the in the veins of Babylon. And yes, guys, this film is yeah, the way that this film is like wild, like batshit insanity, like the level of that is on the same level as Babylon, which is another film that's polarizing, but I love and defend. Yeah, Megalopolis is not as good as Babylon, I will say, but it's still great. Yeah, yeah, but what I mean by it was not what I was expecting, it's just the way that the story was going to go. Now, I think a lack of marketing for this film really gave the benefit of going into this film with not expecting much. For instance, yeah, my prediction of how the story was going to go was that it was going to start off immediately, like in the first act, with the real world being destroyed. Like, with all these, the cannonballs or whatever, those things from the sky, like destroying, the real world. And then the vast majority for the rest of the film would be about, Caesar. Pretty much Caesar, like, trying to fix a destroyed world. Like, he was going to build Megalopolis to make a better world for his people after the world has been destroyed and all that stuff. But it was not that at all. It was not that. It mainly focuses on focused on the real world, well, quote unquote real world, but technically a fictional world, but not with Caesar's like imagined world. Yeah, the Megalopolis utopia was just like a portion of the film, and the whole film was basically about Caesar dreaming, just dreaming of a better life for society. And yeah, it was very original and complex, with powerful themes of power, greed, corruption, and hope. It is a film that challenges viewers to think deeply about society and human nature. There is a lot going on in the plot, but that is because the movie's core isn't around the plot, but rather the themes, as well as a character study of Caesar, who wants a better future for society and is being challenged by both the mayor, Giancarlo Esposito's character, and his cousin, Shia LaBeouf's character. The visuals are absolutely breathtaking and unlike anything I've ever seen. Same goes for the cinematography and color grading. Yeah, maybe some can say that it looks cheap. It is arguable, but I think it works in the context of this film. With one of the biggest cast ensembles of 2024, most of the actors do give it all. With Adam Driver, Nathalie Emmanuel, my favorite character in this film, Julia's character, Giancarlo Esposito, Aubrey Plaza, Talia Shire, etc. Shia LaBeouf was also pretty solid too, and I am actually not a Shia LaBeouf fan at all. I was like okay, well, but I actually did not complain about Shia LaBeouf being in this, because I knew that he was going to be like, he was not going to be bad at all, considering that he's in a Francis Ford Coppola film. So clearly he should be great. I can totally see why people say that Shia LaBeouf was the standout of the film, but to me it's Nathalie Emmanuel. Aubrey Plaza's character would be my second favorite character in the film. And the movie had some great moments too as well. Some just insane moments in general, like that circus scene. Yeah, it went on for quite some time, but it was still a really good scene. And that Grace Vanderwall cameo. Oh man, that was just really good. And ultimately, yeah, the chemistry, the romantic chemistry between Caesar and Julia is actually one of the highlights of the film. Just seeing just their love for each other, it just works so well, and you can clearly feel that their chemistry. And yeah, Caesar's utopian world was very well designed, very well yeah, very well, like beautifully, especially with like the walking, thingies. Like, I mean, the thing like in Santa, and it just like moves you, something like that. I don't know how you describe it, but it's just beautiful. And there are also some very shocking moments too. Yeah, there was one scene in particular where I was like saying out loud, "Shit! Holy shit!" Yeah, yeah. I won't spoil. I'm not gonna give away any spoilers for the film. But wait, actually, since I don't think my subscribers are even gonna watch this or care, maybe I will give away spoilers anyways. So yeah, you have been warned. So that one shocking scene in the film was basically where Caesar gets shot out of nowhere. He's in his car, and then he was like saying hello to this little boy, and while doing that, he got shot. I didn't see if that little kid was the one who shot Caesar, or it was like someone else, someone who we didn't know who shot Caesar. But either way, yeah, Caesar getting shot. Yeah, I did not expect that coming. And then we see like throughout the third act, we see Caesar wrapped around his band-aid and bandage his whole face. And yeah, I'll talk more about that later. So now let's get into yes, I did mention earlier that I have a few issues with the film. So let's get into some of the flaws I had that hold this back from being a masterpiece. Now there were some actors who were phoning in their performances, like John Voight, who's so over the top acting nature, just felt kind of out of place, and Lawrence Fishburne's with just unnecessary narrations, like constantly just having all these exposition dumps, constantly telling the audience about what's going on, even if we don't need it. This is not a kids movie. I don't even think any kid in existence would watch this. Yeah, but I do recommend it to like maybe teens and stuff. And as great as Adam Driver was in this film, there were a few scenes where he was folding his performance. He was like, he was like, there was one, like he felt a little bit cartoony at times. Like there was a scene where he was like talking to Julia in the beginning of the film, or he did like do this like that shoulder face movement, like, oh, I'm so swag, I'm so cool and hip, that kind of movement. You'll see what it is when you watch the movie. Also, that to be or not to be seen, yeah, that one like just came up. Caesar just reciting that scene was actually very goofy and just came out of nowhere. Yeah. And while I appreciate the film being bonkers, wild, and insane, there were a few moments where it did took itself a little bit too far. Like, it was a bit too much. Especially with, like, Caesar's, injured face when he got shot. Like the scene I just mentioned. Now, guess what? Like, when he actually, like, reveals how is the effect of his face when he removed his Band-Aid, he actually looked like the Terminator. I swear to God, yeah, his face is... It looked like a mix of Two-Face and Terminator. Yeah, that's how like bonkers it was. And I think that was a bit too much. I was like, it just looked like so out of place. Yes, again, I am not I understand those stuff, but I think stuff like that I just mentioned, it just felt so out of place with the context of the film. So yeah. So overall, Megalopolis may not be among one of the year's best films, with a few phony performances and unnecessary narrations and moments that took things a bit too far, up to the point where the insanity felt out of place with the film itself. But it is a film worth admiring for how ambitious it was, and you do feel the passion Francis Ford Coppola had making this. Now, in regards to the film getting hate, I actually do get it. I understand why people hate this film. Well, I do think it is one of the most underrated films of the year. But I'm not gonna go for it and say, oh, fuck the haters, I don't get the hate. Because, again, I do get it. I know that it's a film that's not gonna be for everyone. But if you're someone like me who likes these kinds of manga films, specifically who loves Babylon, I think you guys should give this one a shot. And there will be people who will like this film. So with that said, guys, I'm going to give Megalopolis a 4.5 stars out of 5. I'd say it's closer to a 4 out of 5 more than a 5 out of 5. So for my review of Megalopolis, have you seen this film yet? If not, if yes, what are your thoughts on the film? Would you agree with me that this film is underrated and does not deserve the hate? Or are you siding with those people who say that Megalopolis is a disaster? And if you haven't seen the film yet, are you interested in seeing Megalopolis, or will you skip out on this one? I mean, if I were to recommend this film, well, yeah, it depends on your taste, because this film does require an acquired taste. So yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review on Abominable for its 5th anniversary. So yeah, bye guys.